So this is circuit bending of software. And I'm just going to start this thing right off. There's someone taking over me.
Life, death, death, life, death, life, death, life, death, life, death.
Hello.
Life,
Oops.
death, life, death, life, death.
No, stop it. I forgot to do something. Hold on. Oh, man. Otherwise, it would have gone through the whole set. So, and I could have just left it on, but hi, everyone. Welcome. 902-2022. And I got it right this time. As you can see in the side text, everything has been changed. And I didn't forget this time to update the video. Although I think I still have to update the last video. Just has crazy stuff. So anyway, the first bit that you heard was I was trying to figure out a way to show you circuit bending in some weird way on the screen, or I was going to bring out a toy and circuit bend it, but I had nothing I could circuit bend, so I couldn't show you what I was going to circuit bend. Although I'm thinking, emphasis on the word thinking, that perhaps there is something I can circuit bend the next time we come up, but I haven't been able to find anything in the garage that I could pull out of a hat and have it ready for this week. As it has been a very busy week. As you may have surmised, I wasn't online a lot this week. On and off. Mostly because I'm still working on the final mixes for the EP, and I'm going to show you some of those notes. But it was so close to the wire that I actually thought, man, I'm not going to make it to a stream tonight because I have no idea what I'm going to play. And I was ready to give it up until I wound up on this folder and I realized, oh, the DJ set. So there was a DJ set that I did back in 2020 when we were under lockdown, and it was for a blog and called Flom, and Flom Radio was going to play a bunch of different artists' DJ sets. So I decided to do one, but there was a caveat to mine. I'm not a DJ. Although I've done DJ sets, I'm not a DJ. 2, I decided that I would add old demos from tapes to that DJ set and kind of mix it in with, more newer things. I was going to avoid the hits and that kind of thing because no one from Adam was going to know me anyway on this particular show thing. So I decided to break that set up, which kind of messes it up a little bit, but I'm trying to figure out that maybe this weekend, if I'm able to pull it off, I'll put it up on Bandcamp so you can listen to it in its entirety, in the way it's meant to be heard. But I just got to figure it out because it's rather a large file and it might not be feasible. And I don't think it's online anymore, but it might still be on Spotify, although not on the Anything Box page. But I'll have to look for it and see if it shows up. But I posted it at one point. I had the link, but anyway. So I see that Wendy's at Peter Hook. Why are you watching this instead? Just enjoy yourself. You can always listen to this tomorrow. But it is kind of funny that you're at a concert and you have this going on the phone. Thank God everyone's not doing what I'm doing. Otherwise we'd be in trouble and someone would say, people listen to all kinds of crap while they're at the show. So turn it off, Wendy. Don't worry. It's okay. But someone says, let's see. So someone's asking me something about, there are more tracks that were not included on the Electrospective album. And why is Living in Oblivion not included on the Electrospective CD? because there was no real demo that was recorded in the studio on that one. We only had the old Patterson demos, and I decided I would save those for the Ascension CD, essentially. So that's why that never happened. Um, that's so funny. But you guys are hilarious. But yeah, so that's why. But thank you for being here with me tonight. It's going to be a strange bit of music from this weird set that I played as a DJ set. And you're going to hear some pretty gnarly train wrecks because I'm not a DJ, but it was fun to do. And I'm glad that I did it because it was during 2020 and it was lockdown and it was a way of, I couldn't play out, but maybe I could do a DJ set. You know what I mean? So one of those kind of things. And I thought today when I was looking at them, some of them sound interesting enough that they should have been on the stream at one point or another. So I got saved. But I want to do a proper circuit bending segment. And I'm probably going to need an instrument to really do that. So maybe I'm going to go on a hunt for one of those $10 keyboard jobs or something. And something I can break on the stream. And then we can really do it, So Lalo on Facebook is asking me, will there be a Mixology 2 CD? I don't know. With all the crazy legalities involved in some of those old masters, that makes the prospect rather weak. So I don't know. I'd like to. Hold on. Well, I'll do that one the next song's playing. I'm going to put an extra plosive thing on here because it looks like I'm getting a lot of them. And I don't like when I hear them. So I'll fix that during the next track that I play. As you can see, I still have the vocal mic up. And guess what? I wound up having to make a correction on a song and I had to go in and sing a line, which was not something I really wanted to do, but I'm happy that it was bugging me enough in the mix that I decided I would go back and add it in there. So just to give you an idea, see if I can show you. So, not that you're going to make heads or tails of this, but this is the notes from just today. And here, I'll read a few of these, if I can read my own chicken scratch. But I'll read them to you so you kind of get an idea of the kind of stuff that I'm doing. I'm approaching a very different way of mixing these songs, and I'm really enjoying it. It's making the mixes feel very dynamic, very surprisingly full of life. So I'm enjoying that very much. But because of that, I'm catching tiny little mistakes. So for example, on Heaven, I wrote that a particular word had to be lowered by 1.5 decibels, that some of the strings were not wide enough. The Juno needs to be brighter. I had to add a click to the kick drum to make it stick out a little bit more. Count bars at the end in case I'm going to mix something else into it, because I'm thinking ahead of time of running order, which is a weird one. Running order is a strange animal. But for those that are the non-nerds who want to know what a running order is, when you have your final mixes, you tend to pick what song's going to be first versus the second, third, you're trying to build a story. I didn't always think this way, but I found out the hard way that this was a good thing to do. And I'm glad I learned it the way I learned it, but let's put it this way. Peace would have sounded very different. Peace being our first record, would have sounded very different had I known some of the things I knew today. If you really want to know, there was no running order whatsoever on Peace. Basically, the record company, together with management and us, I suppose, basically said single first, and then what we think could be a second single second, and then you pick third, you pick fourth, like that kind of thing. So it's kind of willy-nilly. Not that it's a bad running order. It turns out it's not a bad or terrible running order, except for one thing that really bugs me that can't happen with that running order. And I'll tell you what that is when I play the next track. So I'm going to play the next track, find something for the plosives to help me out over here. And yeah, we'll keep talking. And you're free to ask me questions, of course. I'll just turn on the black and white cam so you can watch me like walk around. I don't know. You guys are funny. This is Prey.
Life, death, death, life, death, life, death, life, life, death, life, death, life, death, death, life, death, life, death, life, life, death, life, death. I had seen a vision, moments lost in time. No one seems to notice it but me. I saw an ending to all that we know.
cut it off. So that was Pray. But obviously, had I decided to do the DJ set thing, I would have just sat here and let the entire thing just play out because all these songs are going into each other. So some of Pray was heard in Polaroid, and you know, you'll hear some of the intermixing going on some of them. Some of them you won't, but I'm gonna try to figure out a way to put them together. But I'm gonna answer some questions. I do feel like singing. I almost feel like singing tonight, which is good. That's a good thing. Because I haven't wanted to in a while because I've been so bogged down in this room and out of this room. So I will explain, but I'll answer the questions first. So the first question that came in from Joe was, do you own the masters to Peace? And the answer, as always, as of this moment, is no. I do not own it right now. However, I will own it at some point. It's just going to take time. But I'm patient. Let's just say the parts that are important are done. So it's just a matter of time. And of course, this will open up a lot of interesting avenues when I reacquire said master. Because it means that then we could do a real anniversary version the way I would have intended it. We could re-release it. We could do, I could hunker down and do more edit type 12-inch mixes than the ones that are out there, so those are the kind of things I would do if it were mine, but it's not mine right now, which is also why Mixology 2 is kind of like not really in the cards per se. Sorry about the plosives. I apologize. I'm going to have to figure out how to do this another way. Maybe if I do this. That's better. Awesome. I don't have any more of these weird things. And so it's because I wound up using it to create something, which I would show you, but I kind of can't right now. I make my own pop filters. That's another thing I do, which is just nuts, but I do. I found a certain material, just out of the blue. I'll just tell you what this is. Out of the blue, I found this material that supposedly these high-end recording studios used to make their own pop filters, and they're like really expensive to buy. And the way that I use pop filters, I thought, well, I'll have to find the material myself. And so I did manage to score the material, and I bought like half a dozen of them. And I built my own pop filters, and I put them on every single mic that I own in a very permanent way, except for this one. And so normally when I'm singing on this mic, I'm about right here where there is no problem because I don't mind getting some of the room sound. But unfortunately for the podcast, it's a little podcast. This is not a podcast, but for the stream, it's a little difficult because I would have to speak further away and it doesn't sound as good. So sorry. But anyway, well, thank you for that, JP. Thank you. Jogo says, we love your music. Thank you for that. So that's the answer to that question. And the other question that I got that I thought was a rather good question was from Scott on Facebook, who asked, is this the very room that I mix in? And the answer to that question is yes. I used to mix in the old studio. I would mix with speakers, and that's been very difficult. So I actually have a pair of something just dropped. I have a pair of very, very expensive headphones that I use for mix down. However, I've been playing around with like all these different headsets, And what I do is I switch off on certain days because I have a particular Sony that handles like really, really low frequencies really well. And so I check those on that particular pair of headphones. But the mids and the highs, those AKGs are the bomb. They're the bomb. 270s or K70s, I believe they are. But they're good. They're really good. I'm really enjoying them. Now they're broken in and I'm getting really used to them. So I get it. Hernan says, tomorrow I have to work, so I'm here, but I should sleep. If they ask me if I had any problems, I'll say I didn't have any problems. Are you saying that you want to stay up with us? Or are you saying you should be sleeping? So as far as so JP is asking, what about your bandmates? What are they doing? They're working on life. They're doing their own thing. I actually spoke to Paul about a week ago. We had a nice chat. I don't know what he's doing with music at this moment in time, but I know he's itching because we were talking about, all kinds of stuff. But getting back to the topic at hand, or one of the multi-topics at hand, because you can never keep track of the topics as I meander from one to the next, right? I'm trying to keep it without me babbling here. But so the question was running order, about the running order thing. So Peace is a good example of the running order not exactly being perfect, because it starts the whole thing off with Living in Oblivion. That's fine. However, we once did a show where we wanted to play Peace in its entirety and in order. We did this in Minnesota, of all places, by the way. This was Minneapolis, the only place we've ever played the entire Peace album from start to finish and in order. But it kind of sucked because having to play Living in Oblivion first means that you've already exhausted the main thing that everyone wanted to hear. So you're only going darker and weirder as the time goes by, because the story is not being told exactly in the correct way. Do you understand what I'm saying? So running order becomes a very important thing. So for me, the running order became important right around Worth is when it started to become important. And it got really important by the time we got to Hope and every album ever since. Running order is a big deal. So even though this is just an EP, I do care about running order. So I've been making notes for like the last 5 days on just running order, based on tempo, based on amount of tracks. Is the song complex? Is one song's story maybe helping the other song? You know what I mean? Like, it's very interesting. Oh, that's an interesting thought, JP. I haven't thought about it. I don't know what the new running order would be. Like, I wouldn't change the running order now because obviously people are used to it, but that's a good idea. I will have to think about the running order of Peace, like what it would be, because believe it or not, we didn't give it much thought after the fact. But I think a decent running order might have been a little different, where Living in Oblivion would have probably been somewhere in the middle. I think I would have started it off with something like Carmen and I Felt the Pain, or maybe Hypocrites. Something slower would have started it and then built up from there, so that you would go mid tempo to slow tempo, go up, get a nice big crescendo, and then bring it back down to earth. That's how I would have done it. Yeah, I know. I think we did, what we wound up doing was doing Living in Oblivion twice, and we did it two different ways. TMT says I was at the Aha show recently where they played the entire Hunting High and Low album in order except for Take On Me, which they saved for the encore. You could do that. Yeah, I think I would. But I don't know that I would do a set with just the Peace album anymore. It's that would have to be a special event. I could see us doing it if like the three of us got together for a special night or something. That would be fun. But me by myself, I don't think that would even work at this point. Although, if you pay attention, when I do Peace songs, I tend to do them in a certain order to tell a story. I kind of do that when I'm playing live too. So running order is kind of important. So it's a really big deal. I'm OCD about it. You know, obvious with the notes. But this week there wasn't a lot of mixing. What I did instead, sorry to talk so much, but what I did instead was I was taking a break from the mixes themselves, and I worked on the artwork for the EP. And that's been fun. Very complex, by the way. And then coming back from the artwork, that kind of changed the running order again, which is really interesting how one thing informs the other. I think I talked about that before, but yeah, after I had the artwork all done, I just thought, man, I don't know that I can start the record that way. It might need to be rethought. And so pages and pages of notes about running order ensued. But I worked on art. So as long as it's progressing, then I can't complain. As long as I don't say that I did nothing, that would be bad. But at least, you know. And yes, in a weird way, the Peace album does tell a whole story. But we never sat down to solidify how to tell that story. But anyway, I digress. So, thank you for being here tonight. I do this stream on Fridays. They're very unpredictable. So, as you can see, I have that subscribe thing just like flickering below. I'm trying to get to 10,000 by the end of the year. Hopefully I'll do it. But I'm working hard. And I'm going to play something. The very next track that's on this DJ set that I did back in 2020 during lockdown. Anyway, here we go. Overhead. Questions, comments below.
Camera, see it take a picture. Look at the image of my fragile face. I'm not the man that I used to be. Someone has taken over me. He uses my hands, he uses my eyes, but he's not the person that I want to be. Someone taking over me, and he's in control. There's someone taking over me, and he's in control. I want to run, I need to escape. I want to run, I need to feel like myself. Look in the horizon, the sun is falling downward. My images of pain will coexist. Look into my eyes, see they're not my eyes. Older and colder they become. They used to see the world, they used to see the beauty. Now they only gaze upon upon decay. There's someone taking over me, and he's in control. There's someone taking over me, and he's in control. Look into the factory, feel its breath on you. Cornered in a vacuum of what we call existence. What is it worth to us all? Person that I have inside will bury me alive, but I've got to get some air before I have to die. There's someone living inside of me, and I can't resist him. There's someone living inside of me, and I can't get away. There's someone living inside of me, and I won't get away. There's someone living inside of me. I want to run, I want to hide, I want to escape, I want to feel like myself. But there's nobody home.
So funny. So that was someone taking over me from a cassette, but in Ableton while I was doing the DJ set, and then adding effects in real time as I was doing the set, which, you know, I had kind of planned it. I wish I would have saved the actual thing because it was very interesting. And I think I'm going to sneeze. Oh no, I'm going to sneeze. I'm going to sneeze. That's so funny. I think it's the dust. So that's really just threw, like my brains went with that one. No, I'm kidding. So in the Ableton set, the way that I knew I wasn't going to try to beat match the song. So what I did was I picked ahead of time songs that were similar in tempo. And then what I did was there's a way you can tap the tempos in Ableton using a key. So I used, you know, one of these pads. And then, thank you. Thank you, Claudio. Thank you. And then, so I used a pad or a key or both to do tap tempo. And then I had all these effects on the ready that basically I would bring in using my APC. So there's some backward stuff that happens, you know, so it sounds cooler when you're listening to it as a whole because all the songs go into each other, of course, but it did work. So I decided I would take a song from a cassette and add it. So there you go. That's how crazy, you know, I am. And yes, I'm going to answer this question by Jose, which you'll have to see in the chat because I'm not going to read it. But what was the reason behind the picture CD of Worth version 2? There's a baby with its middle finger up. A baby with its middle finger up. I would like you to guess as to why I chose that particular image for that CD. There's a reason, but I'm not going to say what it is. But salud, thank you. So yeah. Anyway, this week, artwork. So the piece is rather complex. I'd show you the whole thing, but I don't want to spoil it yet. But the basics of it is that I started working on this painting a while back. And basically I made an error. like a grave error on this particular picture. And I thought, maybe I can fix it in post after I scan it. But meanwhile, I'm just going to draw on the other side of the painting. And I wound up painting on the other side of this torn piece of paper. And what wound up happening is I liked both. So there's no way to put the two together because they're on two separate sides of the paper and there's a tear that's going right between it. And that gave me a really cool idea for something. And I've been doing the layout and the design based on this weird set of images. So it's coming out really good. I'm really happy. But it also helped me stay out of the studio and not over listen to the mixes, because if you over listen, you really start to find flaws that may not really be there, but you're finding them because you want to look for them. So what I've done, because any artist will tell you that they can go back to an album that they released a year ago and they'll find a flaw that they'd fix. I could tell you that right now. Almost any album, I can probably find a song and go, oh yeah, the snare on that should have been a little louder, or the vocal on that's not quite loud enough, or oh, the backing vocals, so yeah, you're going to make arbitrary decisions because A, you get used to the song and yeah, you get bored. 2, you're going to make arbitrary decisions because maybe you're tired that day and certain frequencies are sticking out more than others. So to eliminate that completely from that being the case, I'll be super happy with the mixes as they were, and I'll put them away for a week. I won't listen to them at all. And the idea is that my enthusiasm of wanting to listen to the mixes again, by the time I get back to them, will enable me to really focus on details and flaws from a different perspective, from the perspective of, I love this when I last left it. So where does it sit? So I came up with a cool method for myself. I don't know that it would work for everybody, but I'll tell you what it is. I jotted down the track list of every song and I made a page for it so that when I returned a week later, I would basically listen to each song and any little thing that just stuck out like a sore thumb in my view, I would write down. Which is why, if you look at it, it looks like a flippin' mess. That's what they look like. You just go down the line and just like any little thing. This is too bright. That's too high. I don't stop. I don't correct it in the moment. I just take the notes. And then I put the mix away again for 2 to 3 days. Purposely not listening for those flaws. Because when I come back, I'm going to do it again and I'm going to make a comparison. If the same little thing sticks out, then I can kind of consider it a flaw. This could be the right way to do it or not. Or if I find a completely different set of things that are flaws, then I know it's just my ears or my boredom or whatever it is. Mix is probably fine. It's just me. I find that this method really works. It really, really does. So, try it. It's very interesting. So this is something that I think we came up with around, I don't know, Electrodelica era, around there, where we would come back to the mixes a week later and listen to them and just make notes, but never in the way that I've done it this time. So this is like a new thing for me. It also helped me to figure out how to make certain things stick out for a certain bar or whatever. Sometimes the flaws, I'm celebrating them rather than the reverse. Like if this is sticking out because it's too loud, is it too loud really? Or could it be loud on purpose to lead something else into the story of the song? Running order. you know, this is where running order comes in. So, I'll tell you something interesting about working on this stuff so far. Some really interesting transitional phases between the songs have occurred due to these weird notes and listening sessions. It's as if, I don't know, I know you've heard this before, not from me maybe you've seen it in interviews or whatever. There's a point where the record starts to do its own work. Like, you just become the grunt boy. Like, you work on the mix and suddenly it's like, oh, that part has to go into this part of the next song, or this has to inform some part of the story of the next song, and we're going to have to mix it a certain way because this is the way that this is going to, you know. So anyway, so what I've done is it kind of informs not just running order, but also post-production edits. Is song A too long now compared to song B? Could there be a transition between them? Could I break that song up? So like these weird things, you know, come into play. But anyway, it's I'm really excited about it now. It's like really, really making me happy. I don't remember being this happy doing mixing, because typically it's like very tedious for me. But it's been a fun 2 weeks. Although hard, I was physically exhausted by 5 o'clock today. Like, I was just done for the day. And I was like, I'm just going to sleep. And then it was like, oh no, I have a stream. See, that's how it goes. So I am here. You are there. We are all here together. Let's play a song, shall we? Overhead. Overhead. Next one. Jeez.
I saw the wall, and still I don't believe with my eyes. I still recall all the hours I played as a child. All the things I wanted, I just watched them slip away. All the open honesty had washed away the stains, and she gone. Although the moment shifting, can you feel it in my pulse? Has she gone? Although the moment shifting, can you see it in my eyes? In my Time keeps spinning round and round, just like a carousel. Every time it stops at this, it brings me tumbling down.